It's like a read it or unhaul it extreme edition. I look at my shelves, at my TBR shelves, and I see a lot of books that have been sitting there for 3, 4, 5+ years. Books that I don't ever think about, books that I forgot I even owned, books that I don't even know if I'm excited to read it anymore. I don't even know if it's my taste because I bought it 5 years ago when I didn't even know what I liked. Okay, listen, let me give you a backstory. Back in like 2019 is when I first started reading adult books. Prior to that, I read mostly YA. I discovered the thriller genre specifically, and I went a little crazy. I read one and I bought them all. I went onto Book Outlet, I went onto eBay, I went onto Second Sale, I went onto Half Price Books. I was just buying books blindly. I had no idea what the book was about. I was like, oh, it's a thriller and it's on sale. Add to cart. Oh, it was blurbed by Ruth Ware. I think I heard of that name. Add to cart. Oh, Stephen King's name's on the front. Add to cart. I did that a lot for a bit. I have since unhauled or read some of those books, but at the same time, I still got a big handful of them behind me on my shelves. It is time. The time is now. We're getting them read. We're getting them read and we're getting them gone. Or we're not reading them and we're getting them. Hi, and welcome to my TBR slaughter, my TBR chopping block, my fuck these books. Let's get them read. I don't know what to call this. I'm sure I'll have a title by the time this is uploaded, but you get the gist. Now, I don't know exactly how many books I'll be reading in this vlog. I guess we'll see how things go. I fear, because I am a yapper and I plan on reading tons of books, that this is gonna be a long video, my friends. So grab a snack, grab a drink, grab your little, where'd he go? Your little cuddly pet, and settle down for a long vlog. Okay, so where are we gonna start with this? I'm not using a TBR jar. I'm gonna pick them myself. I have an idea of where I wanna start. I was actually, I've got them here. These are 3 books by Peter Swanson. I'm not gonna choose my entire TBR up front in this vlog. I did pick 3. We're gonna get through these 3, and then after I read these, I'll pick a couple more. That's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna start with Peter Swanson. Why Peter Swanson? He's a cool guy, right? I don't know, I've never met him. But listen, here's my little backstory with old Pete. Back in a bag day, I read 8 Perfect Murders, and I believe it was a new release, which was one of the reasons why I was like, oh, I'll read that. I bought it. I read it. My husband read it. We talked about it. It was like a middle of the road kind of thriller for me. However, it was one of the very first thrillers that I read. Not the first, but one of. I could possibly go back and reread it. I kind of don't though. I don't really remember much about it, but I kind of don't want to go back and reread it because I know that it spoils other books. At the time, I didn't care. I was like, I don't care. But now I care. So anyway, that was a 3-star middle of the road. It was okay kind of book. Then I read Every Value Break, right? And this was probably like a year or 2 later. At this time I had found the thriller community and I thought I knew, and I read it because I had seen some people rave about it. It's one of the worst thrillers that I've ever read, babe. It's very misogynistic. I didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars. It's sitting on my shelf. At that point, after I had read that one, I had already had 4 other Peter Swanson books on my shelves because I bought them from like Book Outlet or whatever. I was gonna get rid of the rest of the books because I was like, the first one that I read by him was just okay. The second one I truly hate. Hate is a strong word. I hate it. I was gonna unhaul them, and I think I said something about it on Instagram or something, and I got so many messages saying, no, you have to read The Kind Worth Killing. And I was like, I have it. Let me do that. And I read it. 5-star favorite. It's one of my favorite thrillers. 5-star favorite. Loved it. Loved it. And so since then, these have been chilling on my shelves because I'm like, what if one of these is also a 5-star? What if? Or is he a one-hit wonder? I don't know, but I'm tired of looking at these. I've had these for a long time. I'm ready for them to go. Either to go or be I'm ready. We're getting them read. We're doing something with them today, my friends. So I'm just gonna start with the first one on the pile. All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson. This is where we're gonna start with. This is what I'm gonna read. Book numero 1. Let's go. I am 50 some odd pages into this book, and I feel like it's going into a direction that I don't want it to go. okay? This book, we have two timelines. We have a then and a now timeline. In the now, we are in the perspective of a man named Harry. He is days away from graduating from college, and he gets a phone call from his stepmother saying his dad is dead. The cops believe that it is suicide. They don't really know as of right now. So Harry is so distraught, he doesn't even want to attend his graduation. He wants to go home and figure out what's going on. So he does just that, and he goes home, and they have the funeral and this, that, and the other for his father. His stepmother Alice, now keep in mind, when he was younger and his dad first met Alice, he was always sexually attracted to Alice, his stepmother. Albeit his stepmother is younger than his father, but still stepmother. Okay. In the then timeline, we follow Alice when she was a teenager. Alice is Harry's stepmother, okay, in the now timeline. But in the then timeline, we follow her when she was a teenager. And her mom was an alcoholic. Her mom also was a pillhead. And she was always passed out, you know, slurring her words, forgetting things. It wasn't the great life. But her mom was married to a man that is Alice's stepdad. Alice and the stepdad, while the mom would be like passed out and stuff, they would go have fancy dinners at these really expensive French restaurants together. Alice would make believe in her brain that this man was married to her. She didn't want people to look at them at the restaurant and think, oh, the father's bringing the daughter out for dinner, you know, because there's a big age gap because he is her stepfather. She is a teenager in high school. Why is this giving me the creeps? This is giving me like ick. The fact that the guardian, the stepdaddy, is okay with like, I don't even know if they crossed the line. I haven't got there yet. I'm only 50 some odd pages in. That was her when she was younger, and now that she's older, she's gonna do the same thing with her stepson. I'm only 50 some odd pages in it. I think I'm gonna give it 50 more pages, and then I'll ultimately decide if I'm gonna DNF this. I don't wanna know anyone else. I only wanna know you. You are literally about to have sex with your stepfather. You are a teenager about to have sex with your stepfather, and you don't want to be with anyone for the rest of your life except him. You haven't even paid your first electric bill, babe. I feel uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. I've read darker things. Is it because I'm a mom and I have my own kids? And let me tell you what, if this was my book and I wrote this book and the stepfather was having sex with this minor, the death, the mystery would not be some old man on a walking path. The mystery would be, who the fuck killed the stepdaddy? You know what I'm saying? I just wish it didn't have that element in there, because there are some other things in here I'm like, I don't know, like I am intrigued in some senses to go on, but I'm grossed out, icked out, tapping out. I'm tapping out. I'm not gonna read this book. Book number 1, we're DNFing. And we're getting rid of it. Book number 2, we're gonna pick this one up, Before She Knew Him, by same author, Peter Swanson. I'm about 25% in. Let me tell you what's going on in this book, because I'm telling you right now, I'm probably gonna finish this one. We follow 2 different perspectives. We have Henrietta, but she goes by Hen, and her husband, what is his name? Because I done forgot. Henrietta and Lloyd, they moved to this little suburban town of Boston, trying to settle into their little house, and the house that they move into is what I like to call a cookie cutter house, in the sense that it's one of those neighborhoods that kind of goes up within like 6 months, but every single house looks a little different, but they're all essentially the same floor plan. So they moved to this new little neighborhood. They were invited to like the neighbor's house for dinner. So to like get out of the house, they go and they're like, let's go. And we'll be super bored and we'll be like a snooze fest, so they won't invite us back. Relatable. Anyway, so her and her husband go to the neighbor's house for a little dinner, and the neighbor's been living there, okay? They're well settled in. So their house is very decorated, and Henrietta's like, I like your house. Can I have a little tour? And the other girl's like, say less. So she brings her around the house and whatever, this, that, and the other. When they get to the husband's office, so wait, that couple's name, I know they both start with the M. It's Matthew and something, Mandy. Anyway, doesn't matter. His wife is, it's okay. So they get to Matthew's office, and immediately Henrietta sees a trophy on the mantle and she freezes up. Everybody in the room notices that she like is about to faint, like she freezes up when she sees it. But the only person that knows why she's freezing up when she sees it is Matthew. And you want to know why? Okay, I'm gonna tell you. 1 year ago, when Henrietta and her husband lived in another town, on that street, one of her neighbors on that street was murdered. And you want to know what the murderer did? Took the trophy as a trophy. Geyser. Took the trophy as a trophy. And you want to know what else? On his little mantle, he has a bunch of little bits and bobs. I want to know if they're all trophies, you know what I'm saying? Henrietta's like, this guy's the guy that killed, I think his name was Daniel. This is the killer. This is the killer. And she was obsessed with this case, okay? Obsessed. It was one of her neighbors. She was obsessed to the point where her husband was kind of worried about her. Okay, first when they get home that night after the dinner, she tells her husband, she's like, Lloyd, listen, I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but just listen. Matthew's the killer. I know he's the killer. And Lloyd's like, you need to calm down, girl. We done been through this. We done been through this. Not everybody can be the killer. And she's like, no, but listen. She tells him about the trophy. And he's like, well, did you ask? She's like, yes, I asked. He said he got it from a garage sale. But it's funny because he's also a teacher at the school that old dude went to when he was murdered. So there's still a connection. He did it. Then the next day, she goes back over there, makes up an excuse to go back over there because she's on a lot of medication to help control her bipolar disorder. Sometimes she's like, I don't think I saw what I saw. I need to go back over there and double check. And so she goes back over there and guess what? The trophy's gone. And she's like, okay, he's definitely guilty because why else would he take the trophy away after he saw how I reacted when I saw the trophy? He's guilty. She then calls the cops. Hey, detective, this murderer lives next door to me. I'm gonna need you to check it out. So the cop goes to his house, and that's when Matthew's like, this bitch, I know she knows what I did. And she didn't call the cops on me. We also get Matthew's perspective, okay? We get Matthew's perspective. If we did not get Matthew's perspective, I don't think I would continue on to in this because I am more invested in Matthew's perspective. I'm not gonna go into detail on what Matthew's doing. I feel like that's a little too much. What does it say in the... Okay, yeah, it doesn't really talk about what Matthew's doing in the synopsis, even though you find out very early on in the book what he's up to. What he's up to, and also that he's on to Henrietta. I want to tell you why I'm liking it, but I can't tell you why I'm liking it. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. We do get a few other people's perspectives, including Richard. Who's Richard? Richard is Matthew's brother. And let me just tell you, Matthew is not a likable character in general. Like, hello, in the synopsis, we already know that Matthew is a murderer, okay? So he's not a likable character in general, but neither is Richard. His chapter was pretty vile. Pretty gross, with objectifying women, whacking off to inappropriate. His father actually gave him a deck of cards when he was a child of naked women, and he was describing the positions that they were in. He is a very gross individual, and I thought that was bad until when we were in Richard's perspective. We also got to know more about their father and their upbringing. Let me just tell you, it's a nightmare. Okay, it's a nightmare, and boy oh boy. So their father was very abusive. He would go on these business trips all the time, and when he would come home, this particular trip, he came home, left a pair of bloody panties on his wife's pillow. I'm sorry, what? I am shooketh. Okay, I did not see this. I did not see this twist coming. I did not see this twist coming. I finished the book. I've finished the book. And typically I like to come on here and I like to run my little mouth about what's going on in the book and this and the other, but listen, I cannot, okay? The little you know, the better it'll be for you. Just know it's really good. It's good. I want to say, if you are a fan of like dark thrillers, like Gillian Flynn kind of thrillers, like, dare I say this might be my favorite Peter Swanson book. Dare I say this is 5 stars. I loved his other book, The Kind Worth Killing. I also gave that one 5 stars. However, if you have similar reading taste as me and you prefer darker, grittier, disturbing type thrillers, this is where it's at, babe. And you know what? I am so glad I did not give up on Peter Swanson. Part of me wishes I could go back and read with the fact that she's a minor doing the nasty with her stepdaddy, If you've read this, as of right now, it's on my DNF/unhaul pile. Let me know if you've read this, your thoughts. But this one, my friends. So 2 books down, and we're moving on to our 3rd book, which is this one, my last Peter Swanson on my shelves, and this is called Her Every Fear. Bless you. My kids are in the hallway. I'm sorry if you can hear them. Actually, I'm not sorry. They literally live here. They literally live here. Wow, that is a long synopsis. I'm not diving into all of that. I just read the first like 1.5 paragraphs. Like, it's truly a whole novel. So what I gather from this 1.5 paragraphs is Kate has extreme anxiety because of trauma that has happened with an ex-boyfriend who kidnapped her and nearly ended her life. So girl, I can see why you have anxiety. Her cousin named Corbin, who lives in Boston, suggests the two temporarily swap apartments. Kate agrees, hoping that the time away in a new place will help her overcome the past traumas of her life. But Corbin's grand apartment on Beacon Hill, his next door neighbor, a young woman named Audrey, has been murdered. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna read into that. I've read a few thrillers with a very similar plots. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so listen, the reason why Peter Swanson was the first person on this list that I wanted to tackle with this video is because he has a new book coming out and I love the cover. And the synopsis sounds pretty good. And the post that I saw on Instagram, they called him the king of suspense. And I was like, that's laughable. But who called him that? But the thing is I had read too many duds by him. But I fear that, what was that book called? Before She Knew Him Changed My Mind. I like that book. So I'm hoping this is gonna be the make it or break it for me. If I love this book too, or if I at least give it like a high 3, 4, 5 star, then I will absolutely pick up his newest book when it comes out later on this year. If I wind up hating this book, I might still pick it up. I might just get it from the library though. Be on the safe side, get it from the library, and if I don't like it, no harm done, you know? No money spent. I think this is gonna be another one of those books where I can't tell you what is fully happening because we're getting the perspective of the people that are doing the murdering. Similar to the past Peter Swanson book that I just read. It was like, oh, this is gonna be the mystery. Who's killing these people? Oh, psych! We already know because we're getting their perspective, babe. Which their perspective is pretty dark. Okay, I wasn't expecting it. Anyway, so I can't go into too much detail. I'll also say, and I could be wrong, that this doesn't feel like it's going to be a twisty one. Before She Knew Him, the one that I just read before this, wasn't super twisty either. There was a twist that did get me, so I could be wrong. But I feel like because we know the stuff that's going on, I don't know how it could shock me. I don't know. But okay, so what I can tell you, we do get multiple perspectives. The first person that we get is Kate. And she switched apartments with her cousin. They've never met before. Her family lives over here across the pond. His lives here in Boston. Anyway, he like calls up her mom or emails her mom something and is like, yo, I need to go over there for a job for 6 months. Does anybody want to do an apartment swap with me? You know, save me some money. And they're like, okay, cool. Kate really needs to get out. She really needs to like take a deep breath because she is going through it. She had something really traumatic happen to her. She needs to get away. She needs a break. So her mom talks her into doing this apartment swap with her cousin. So boom, apartment swap. The day that she lands in Boston, one of the neighbors is talking to her, like showing her around and whatever. Another girl comes and she's like, hey, have you seen my friend? I haven't heard from her. I feel like something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, they find out that that girl was actually murdered inside of her apartment across the hall. And so Kate is out there putting on her little detective hat trying to figure out, like, did my cousin know her? What happened to her? Like, she is all up in it because she thinks the worst in every scenario, especially with her super high anxiety, which, relatable. She's all up in it. She's sleuthing around, right? And at first I was like, is this book going to be just her sleuthing around? Kind of like The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. Because that's kind of why I didn't really like it, because I felt like it made the book drag. Nay. Because we quickly then start getting other perspectives. We get a perspective of a neighbor that lives across from her that is kind of stalkery, and you're like getting the ick vibes from him. Then we get the perspective of her cousin. Let me just tell ya, shit's crazy. I was kind of shook there for a minute when So we got a lot of perspective from him. And we still don't know what happened to the girl in the apartment though. We don't know because we haven't got there yet. But I have a feeling I know what it is, obviously. I don't think it's gonna be like a twisty, turny kind of thriller. I do think it's gonna be like a you're just here for the mind fucks kind of stuff. Okay, good morning to everyone except Kate, because that bitch is pissing me off. If we're being honest here, I don't think Swanson writes likable characters. Like intentionally his characters are not likable. And I say this because I do see a few people say sometimes like, I didn't like that book because none of the characters were likable, which honestly, if you're reading in the thriller genre, that's a common theme. Yeah, none of these characters are likable, and a lot of the characters that you're getting the perspective from are actually the bad guys. So little Miss Kate, this is what pisses me off about her, not the fact that she's unreliable and I don't know. I don't really like her. Old girl was like, I don't want him to be my only time ever being with a man because that's the only man she ever slept with. And she was like, if something happens to me, I don't want him to be my one and only. So she decides to sleep with the boy who lives across the way that has been peeping into her window, and she's been getting the ick from him since the day she met him. She's been getting the ick. And she decides to choose him to fuck. So they do the nasty. And then in the middle of the night while he is sleeping, she sneaks out of his apartment, goes back to her apartment. And then in the morning when he knocks on her door, she hides. And she's like, he's such a creep. Like, bitch, you don't let him stick his TT in you. Out of all the men in the world, do better. I am literally sitting here contemplating my life choices. I just finished this book and I cannot decide if I want to give it a 4-star or a 5-star. I know. I'm literally eating my words for breakfast, babe, because who'd have thought? And what if I didn't get the ick from the first book that I read in this vlog or tried to read in this vlog, and it also was a banger? This was so creepy, dark, sadistic, frustrating. This is what Lucy Foley's Paris apartment wish it could have been. Is this a 4-star? Is it a 5? Why would it not be a 5? I just didn't really care for Kate. That's the only thing, I think. But all the other stuff, it gives 5-star. I'm probably gonna give it a 5-star on Goodreads, but rate it a 4.5. Like in my little review. Goodreads, if you're watching this, give us the half-star option or else. Anyway, I looked up what books 8 Perfect Murders spoils, because I don't remember anything about 8 Perfect Murders. Again, I read it in the backpack day and I was like, maybe I need to give it a second chance. It spoils 8 books. I do remember that whoever's doing the murders in this book is like copying murders from books, I think. There's a bookseller involved. He talks a lot about books in these books. He talked a lot about books in here. Obviously, you write what you know, you know? Anyway, the 2 books that it spoils that I would like to read prior to rereading that book is Secret History by Donna Tartt and then ABC Murders, I think, or a book by Agatha Christie. I would like to read those 2 prior to rereading the 8 Perfect Murders. That's neither here nor there. Let me get dressed, put a bra on, and we'll go and we'll pick out our next victim. We're just gonna ignore the fact that I'm staying in my jammies all day today. I did put on a cardigan. I didn't brush my hair. But listen, it's pouring down raining outside. I have no plans today except to read. So you're not here for fashion advice, because this would be a flop channel if you were. The next book that we're gonna pick is a Lucy Foley book. I've read 2 other books by Lucy Foley. I have read The Paris Apartment, in which I rated 2 stars. And then I have read The Guest List. And I just checked my Goodreads because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember anything about that book. I know it was something to do with a wedding, murder mystery, but I don't remember anything. I don't even remember who died. I don't know. I don't remember. And I gave it a 3-star. Needless to say, she's not a favorite author of mine. I have one more book of hers on my shelf. If I read this book and I don't care for it, I think I'm gonna have to break up with Lucy Foley. You know, save me a little bit of money. And if I do happen to pick up anything else from her in the future, it'll definitely be free from the library. So let me grab the book that I'm reading today, and that is this The Hunting Party. So this one is about what? I don't even know. Alice Feeney blurbed it. But I've also come to a conclusion that I'm not going by blurbs anymore, because if they constantly reuse blurbs on multiple books, the same exact blurb word for word, I don't trust it. All of them are friends. One of them is a killer. It's during Christmas break in New York in a blizzard. Whatever, I don't want to read the synopsis. I don't, because I'm just going into this expecting nothing. Low expectations, truthfully. And we'll see. A New Year's reunion in the remote Scottish wilderness. Why did I read in New York? During the languid days of the Christmas break, a group of 30-something friends from Oxford meet to welcome in the new year together. It wasn't even the word New York, bitch. It was the word New Year. Maybe I don't need to be reading. So the tribe has spoken, and by tribe I mean me, myself, and I. Oh, calm down. We're DNFing the book at 40 pages in. I just don't give a single shit about anything that's going on, okay? And at first I was like, well, I'm gonna keep reading it just to see who actually is killed. You know what I mean? So let me figure out if I really care about this person and if their murder matters. But then I realized Lucy Foley's not going to be telling us anytime soon. She ain't even giving away the gender of the body that was found on the premises. It ain't happening. So I was like, do I want to waste my time? You know, because time is precious. Do I want to waste my time and spend, I don't know, 4 or 5 more hours reading a book that is probably going to be mediocre and I'm probably going to wind up unhauling anyway? Nay. We ain't doing it. We ain't got time for that. I even went into my Discord and asked some little friends over there, hey y'all, who's read this and should I continue on? And they also said, probably not. So we're DNFing this. I do have 2 other Lucy Foley books on my shelves, but they have been read. I'm gonna be doing another book unhaul at the end of the month before I pack up my bookshelves. That's a sneak peek to what you're gonna see in that video, is me unhauling the Lucy Foley books. But we're also unhauling this one. I do kind of want to take a teensy little break from reading thriller mystery situations, because listen, earlier I was coming back home and I went to go unlock my front door, and my front door is made like of glass, a big portion of it. I saw my reflection in the glass and I almost pissed myself. I think it's time to take a little break. So I'm gonna go see what I can find on my shelves that I can read, and that's what I'm gonna do. I got 2 books here. Both of them seem like they might be semi-emotional reads. Okay, the first one is one that I actually bought, and that is The 2 Lives of Lydia Bird. I believe this was like a book of the month book, and that's probably why I was seeing it everywhere, but I don't know. Is it good? Oh, I know why. Because she is the author of One Day in December, and that is a very underrated book. I love that book. So we have this one, and I don't want to say high hopes, but I got hopes. Then this other one was sent to me a while back, and let me look on Goodreads. I kept it because I was like, Tracy Garvis Graves, that sounds familiar. Maybe I'll be interested in it. Let me see if she's written anything else that I have actually read, because I could just be making the fact up that I've heard that name before and I probably haven't. On the Island, The Girl He Used to Know, Heart-Shaped Hack, Heard It in a Love Song. None of these really ring a bell for me. I don't know why. I was like, let me keep this. I don't know, because maybe it's good. I guess we'll see. We'll start with this one because if I'm gonna DNF one of them, I feel like it might be this one. We'll start with this one and then we'll just make our way over to the other one. Okay, so Ordinary Wizarding Levels Examination. Look, I am back in my Professor Umbridge robe. We're gonna talk about this book here, The Trail of Lost Hearts by Tracy Garvis Graves. I'm about 40% in to this book. This is what I love about hardback books, is most of the time, don't lose your page. You don't need a bookmark. So before I go into my thoughts, let me go into what the book is about. Our main protagonist is Ren, and so far we've only gotten her perspective. She no longer trusts men. She has been betrayed. Her fiance got in a car accident and was in the hospital passing away. And she's never met his family, and she needs to like contact someone because she doesn't know what to do. And so as she's waiting for his aunt or somebody to contact her, somebody else shows up. And who is this somebody else? His whole ass wife and their whole ass kids and their whole ass grandmother. He had an entire whole other life. How did he get away with that, Beth? He's a pilot. Was a pilot because he's now. So he was off working. The feeling of betrayal and also grief. A double whammy, truly. And so she had been wallowing in her room, in her bed, looking like me, probably in day old pajamas. One day, her and her friend are out and about, and they come across these people. What is it even called? Geocaching? She's like, that sounds fun. I want to try it. So she tries it around her neighborhood and in her city and whatever. And then she gets the idea to like use this as an escape to get away. And so she maps out this little trip that she wants to take in a different state to go and do this whole geocaching stuff. Fast forward, she's on said trip by herself, by the way. So she's on this trail in this place where she don't know nobody. And she comes across this one man. She's being short with him. She's not responding to his sentences. He's talking to her and he brings up the idea to like, let's do this together, you know? So you're not alone, I'm not, whatever. We can have little conversations as we find these stuff. And she's like, ill and out. And so she goes on her own little separate way. She winds up stumbling across two men. These two men take her phone from her, hold her arms behind her back. You can already tell where it's finna go, but it doesn't get to go there, thank gosh, because the first man that she first encountered on the other trail interrupts them and saves her from the situation, you know, brings her back to safety. So she's like, I don't know if I should continue on this little geocaching adventure or if I just need to book a plane and go back home. And then she decides, actually, you know what? I'm gonna ask this dude who saved my life, essentially, if he wants to do this together because I need this escapism and I need to get away and He has gone through some trauma as well with grieving and also a recent breakup, and he's also a psychiatrist, I think, psychologist, and really nice. And now they're on this little adventure to go geocaching. As of right now, I'm just like along for the ride. I don't think I'm gonna dislike it. I don't think it's gonna be a favorite book, but this cover is ugly as all get out. Don't lie to me, you know it is. After a few more chapters read and sleeping on it, I have decided to DNF The Trail of Lost Hearts because let's talk about it really quick, actually. The main character, Wren, as I told you, she is going through grief in the sense that her fiance passed away in a car crash, but also she's kind of going through feeling betrayed because she found out that she was his mistress. This is the whole reason for her trip, is to kind of get out and find herself again. Well, anyway, she meets that Marshall guy. The first time she gets in his car, she opens one of them opens the glove box. I don't really remember the little details, but she sees like a lipstick in there and some other feminine product, and she gets upset about it, which I feel is kind of odd because I'm like, you literally just met him, babe. You literally just met him. Then the next day, he gets a phone call. She hears him mention the name of the person he's talking to, and it's a female's name. And so in her head again, she's like, who is she? He is telling this woman, who by the way is his sister, okay? He's telling this woman he'll be home when he gets home. He is busy out geocaching to leave him alone. And in Wren's head, she's getting jealous. She's like, you're with me. Why can't you tell whoever that is on your phone that you're with me? You're with another woman. And I'm like, bitch, you just met this man like 2 days ago. Calm down. You don't even know his middle name. You don't even know his birthday. You don't even know that he has a sister. You don't even know if he changes his Pluto sheets on his bed at home. You need to chill out, my friend. You need to chill out. And then anytime this guy Marshall does anything good for her, she'll mention that he helped her over a fallen log. In her head, she's like, Rob would never do this. If there was a fallen log, he would just expect me to climb over it by myself. Or like, Rob would never hold my hand in public. Rob would never do this. We get it. You're mad. You're mad. You have every right to be mad. We get it. But if this my friend, is a book about these two people finding each other, falling in love, I don't want to fucking hear about Rob every page. I don't. Simply, I do not. And we know nothing about Marshall, which is the guy that she's supposed to be falling in love with, okay? We know nothing about him. The only thing we know about him is he's grieving because he lost someone in his family, and he recently broke up with an ex-girlfriend who claimed that he was boring. That's all that we know about him. We know nothing. We know more about Rob. And Rob is scum. Honestly, truly, I don't really care. Well, therefore, I have a TBR that is the size of the Empire State Building. Like, I literally don't have time to be reading this book. So I'm DNFing it. We're gonna unhaul it, and we're gonna move on to the next book, The Two Lives of Lydia Bird. This is supposed to be similar in the sense that I believe her significant other also passes away at the beginning of the book. I guess we'll see. We'll see. Tell me why I'm only a chapter into this book and I already want to cry. I already want to cry. It makes me realize that one day I'm either going to have to go through the loss of losing a spouse, or my husband's going to have to go through it. It's fucking terrifying, truly. I am only 100 pages in. As of right now, I am unsure if I'm going to finish this book. I'm not saying it's bad by any means. It's sad. So let me just tell you what's going on here. We have Lydia, who on the night of her birthday, okay, so let me back up a little bit. Lydia and a guy named Jonah were friends in school when they were teens, right? So they're like 14 when a new guy comes to school, and his name is Freddie, and they kind of like adopt him into their friend group. So it's Lydia, Freddie, and Jonah. Lydia immediately falls in love with Freddie, and now they're in their 20s. They're engaged, and it is Lydia's birthday night. Freddie calls Lydia and he's like, hey, I'm gonna meet you at the place for your birthday dinner. I'm gonna pick up Jonah first. And she's like, oh gosh, because Jonah's there all the time, to the point where she's like tired of seeing Jonah. Jonah and Freddie are connected at the hip, as you would say. She's like, why can't Freddie drive himself? He knows how to drive. He has a vehicle. I don't understand why you always have to go get him. You are not driving Miss Daisy. He doesn't listen, and he gets Jonah anyway. And then on the way back, they get in a car accident, and Freddie unfortunately passes away. So Lydia is drowning in grief. She isn't sleeping. She's just drowning. Completely understandable, because I'm over here like wanting to tear up reading this book. It is absolutely 100% heartbreaking. About 2 months after Freddie's passing, Lydia's mom kind of intervenes and says, maybe we need to get you some help so that you can actually sleep. So Lydia's mom and sister have been coming to her house daily, helping her with house chores, helping her brush her hair. They are there for her. Bless. And so they get her some help, and she gets some sleeping pills, takes one, and finally like gets a really good night's sleep. So good to the point where when she falls asleep, you know, like those dreams that you have that when you wake up it felt real? Think of that, but like even more realistic. So when she goes into this dream state, she can smell Freddie. It is like a whole other world for her, where Freddie is alive. After she wakes up from that, she like starts abusing the sleeping pills, in the sense where she'll take one and go to sleep, and then once she wakes up, she'll like eat a meal and then take another one and go back to sleep, just so she can see Freddie. It is split in chapters. Like the first chapter will be awake, the next chapter will be asleep. And so the asleep is you're just reading about her dreams. But in the awake chapters, she is trying to pick herself back up. So she goes to Freddie's grave a lot, and sometimes when she's there, she sees Jonah. She kind of blames Jonah because she thinks that if Freddie wouldn't have went and picked Jonah up, this would have never happened. And Jonah also blames himself. And I think maybe they lean on each other through this time because they're both grieving and getting over a person that they have loved for over a decade. I think maybe they might fall for each other. That has to be the romantic part in this, because it says Lydia's pulled again and again through a doorway to her past, living two lives and possibly at once. But there's an emotional toll to returning to a world where Freddie, alive, still owns her heart, because there's someone in her new life, her real life, who wants her to stay. And I'm gonna assume that is Jonah. I do like an emotional romance, but I don't like this kind of emotional romance. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna give it like another 50, 75 pages and then I will determine if I'm gonna continue on or not. However, though it may only be 8:45 in the evening, yeah girl is tired. So it's not gonna be tonight. I'm gonna go lay in bed and read. In the background of this vlog, I am reading Little Women and I'm also reading the new Elsie Silver book, both on my Kindle. So I'm gonna go lay in bed and pick up one of those and read myself to sleep. I don't think I'm vibing or jiving or thriving with this book. This has been a decision that I have been thinking about all morning. I don't know if I want to DNF this or what's going on. I don't know if it's because I'm just not in the mood for something so sad. I also was hoping that this new relationship that she was going to get herself into was going to help lighten up the book some, and we haven't got there yet. I mean, granted, I'm only like 131 pages in, so I'm not even to the halfway point yet, but I just don't care. Am I a bitch? I battle between I just don't care, and I think that's like the dream chapters, and then this is so fucking sad. My husband's about to quit his job and I'm gonna put him in a plastic bubble kind of things. You know what I mean? I just don't want to be in this headspace right now. I just don't want to be in this headspace right now. It's so sad. So I'm gonna soft DNF this 131 pages in. If I have no craving to pick it back up by the end of this vlog, I will hard DNF it. So I might even take it over to Instagram and ask them if I should continue on or if I should DNF it and see what they think, because they're my besties. That being said, we're gonna set this down and I'm gonna pick, I know what I'm gonna pick, hang on. So we're gonna do the whole, is this author for me again? This is Tarryn Fisher. I have read one Tarryn Fisher book in the past, and I believe it was an indie published book called Mudvayne, and I loved this book. But I read this book way back in the day, well over a decade ago, so I don't pick it up right now and be like, Beth said this is a good banger and you dislike it, because Beth doesn't remember shit. I just remember that I loved it, and it's on my Kindle, and like I have to scroll. I have hundreds of books on my Kindle. Okay, we're not gonna, nobody talks about the Kindle TBR. Okay, those don't count. So I have to scroll all the way to the bottom. That's how long ago it was I read it. Anyway, I digress. I've been having these on my shelves for a while. When did I get The Wives? Because I got it with my book of the month. 2019. Okay, so The Wives and The Wrong Family. I'm not gonna lie, I have not heard good things about either one of these books. I'm not gonna look on Goodreads at the ratings until I'm done with the books, because I don't want that to sway me. Because let me tell you what I've done. I went on Goodreads and looked at the ratings and reviews about 11 times for The Two Lives of Lydia Bird, because I was like, do people love this book? Because I feel like I'm not gonna love it. And I would go and look and I'm like, oh, but my friend gave it 5 stars, maybe I should. But then I kept reading and I was like, but I don't feel like I'm gonna love this book. So then I would go back to Goodreads and look at other reviews, and just like, I feel like that is what made my decision hard to DNF it, because I saw other people give it 5 stars. And so I was like, maybe I shouldn't DNF it and I should push through. When I'm not vibing with it, it probably should be DNF'd, you know? Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by its toe. If it hollers, let it go. My mama told me to pick the very best one, and you are not it. So you're not it, you're it. We're gonna start with wives. And I think this is about a man who has multiple wives. How far would you go to find the truth about your husband? He comes over on Thursday of every week. That's my day. I'm Thursday. Sometimes I wonder about the other days and if they wonder about me. Little good that does. If you wonder too hard, you get everything wrong. Imagine that your husband has 2 so there's only 3 wives and she only gets Thursday? She's like the appetizer. Okay, I am already halfway into this book and it's noon. Yesterday it took me the entire day. I mean, I did have a couple of things I had to do throughout the day, but still, I spent a lot of time on that other book and I only got 130 pages into it. So I feel like that says a lot as to how much I was enjoying that one. This one, on the other hand, I am sucked into it. Let me set the stage for you, set the scene, whatever. We have this man named Seth. He grew up in Utah where he had a father and 4 mothers, a polygamous family, I guess you would say. He has moved from Utah. However, he wanted to continue that life. He got his first wife and they've known each other since they were in college. Married her. Years go by. He realizes she doesn't want to have kids. So he's like, what if we divorce, but we stay in a relationship? And I go form another relationship with another woman so that she can have my babies. And that wife agrees. Okay. This is all like hearsay because this is all what Seth told Thursday, the second wife. Okay. So we are in the perspective of Thursday. The first wife, that's Tuesday. So Thursday is the second wife and she is the one that is legally married to Seth. Thursday did, in fact, get pregnant, but unfortunately, the pregnancy ended badly and she wound up having to have a hysterectomy. And so Seth, being Seth, was like, how about I go find me another wife and they can have me some babies? And so Thursday's like, if this means I can still keep you, then yes. Couldn't be me. Could not be me, especially after going through that trauma. Are you joking right now? So he then goes and finds him another wife, okay? And her name is Monday. Yeah, so he has 3 wives. They're located in different cities, but like driving distance apart, you know? And he has different offices for his job. And so none of the wives have ever met. They don't know each other's names. They don't know the story behind anything. They just know what Seth tells them. Also, Thursday has never even met Seth's parents, Seth's family, nothing. She knows nothing about this man except what this man tells her. I don't know about you, but I surely am suspicious over Mr. Seth, and I think that he is making a bunch of shit up, but I don't know. So anyway, the story goes where, none of that's spoilers anyway, that's all said pretty much at the beginning of the book. It opens up with it being Thursday, and Thursday is making dinner, which by the way, we do find out their real names like later on in the story. Okay, so Thursday is making dinner, waiting for Seth to come home because it is Thursday. It's her night to get him. So he gets off work and he goes to her condo and he's like, I don't want dinner, I just want a frog. So they frog. They're done. He's not even done fastening his pants and he already wants to start talking to her about how her week went, and she's like, well, how'd your week go? And he has the audacity to be like, well, Monday is sick, you know, with the baby, and blood pressure medicine couldn't even help me out. I couldn't do it because it was already pissing me off. I was like, you literally still have remnants of her vagina on your TT and you're already bringing up Monday? Sir. He then sleeps there that night and then wakes up in the morning and goes to work. And that is all the time that she sees him every week, is he gets off work, goes to her house, they eat dinner, okay? They go to sleep, he wakes up and goes to work, and then she said every once in a while he will come back after work Friday to eat dinner and then go to his other wife. But for the most part, she sees him maybe 12 hours a week. Again, I could not. He leaves and goes to work, and she then finds a piece of paper in his coat pocket that was a folded up bill when Monday went to the doctor. And on the piece of paper, she sees the full name. And this entire time, for these entire years, he has never not once mentioned the names of his other wives. So, well, after finding this piece of paper and seeing this name on this piece of paper, Pandora's box has been open. I'm finna find out, okay? And also her address was on the piece of paper. So you know what she does? Hi! She doesn't tell her who she is, but she goes to get to know Hannah. And then she also finds out the other wife, what her name is, and she gets to know her. They don't know who she is, or at least I don't think they know. I don't know. I think Seth is a conniving little bitch. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I truly hope he gets his. I hope he gets his, because I feel like he is a scum. Because I tell you what, if I could be okay with having somebody else live up on my man, it's gonna be an open relationship in the sense where I'm gonna get to know every fucking body. Like, if we sharing the TT, I'm gonna know your name. You know what I'm saying? So Keeping them separate is what gets me. That's what makes me feel like there's lies involved. And I don't know. I was hoping that, like, this is what I was hoping was at the beginning of the book they would find him dead. And then it was one of the... I feel like that is a book. Black Widow? Something like that. Whatever. I digress. Just my initial thoughts on the first half of the book. And so far I'm liking it. So far I'm liking it. It's not 5-star. It would probably be like a 4-star as of right now. We'll see. You ever just want to, like, go into a book, not to live there, but to kill a motherfucker? I'm just trying to decide if I need to make a doctor's appointment to see about this whiplash from this book, because let me tell you what. For a good time, pick up The Wives by Tarryn Fisher. I'm not saying this is a 5-star favorite read, gonna be recommended all the time, nay. I'm saying it's so messy, you cannot look away. You just gotta keep going because you need to know what the shit is going on. Because the first 50%, I was invested. I flew through the first 50%, okay? Second 50%, the guy who was manning the tilt-a-whirl done went to the bathroom or something because we going off. The book is being flipped upside down. I'm getting whiplash. I don't know who to trust, who to believe, what century I am in. This book is, it was a wild ride, my friend. I'm giving it 4 stars. I'm giving it 4 stars. It's twisty, it's turny, it's juicy, it's drama-y. It was a good time. It was a little popcorn thriller. I'm giving it 4 stars. I don't even know what I'm doing. But what I can do is start the next book. We're just getting through these books, babe. This is book number, what? 7. We're about to start book number 8 in one vlog. Who is she? Okay, book number 8, The Wrong Family, also by Tarryn Fisher. Is this the one where somebody's living in the attic? Oh my gosh. A few years ago. Look, time is weird to me. By a few years ago, I don't know why 2016 just feels like it was 2 years ago. By a few years ago, I mean like around 2016, 15, something like that. There was this video going around of this man who lived in an apartment. I want to say it was like in New York, or I don't even, girl, it could even be in Ohio. I don't know where it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He was living in this apartment. Food would go missing or something. Like he would wake up the next day and like can ask his girlfriend, like, did you eat all of the cookies last night? Like what? And she's like, no, bro, I'm on 75 hard. I don't do that or something. And they wound up setting up a camera at night to catch like rats or something. They caught somebody sleeping in the house. Like, I don't know what it's called because we don't have them here in the houses that I've ever lived in or the people that I know. But it's like you have, it's kind of like an attic, I guess. But she was sleeping during the day, and at nighttime, while him and his girlfriend were asleep in the bed, she would climb out, go take a piss in his kitchen sink, eat the food, and watch his TV while they're sleeping. That video kept me up at night, like, because it's footage from a guy actually recorded. It's real footage. Anyway, I will find it on YouTube and I'm gonna link it down below, and I need you to go watch it so we could be in fear together. We could be fear sisters. Is that what this is about? I don't know, but when I think of this book, I think of, let me read the synopsis. Is she secretly living in their house, or is she, never mind. This isn't, there's a book that I'm thinking of that is a thriller where somebody is secretly living in someone else's house or something. I don't know. I'm gonna leave that in there, talking about that video, and I'm gonna link it down below. And if I've got it messed up a little bit, it's because it's been so many years since I've watched it, because it freaks me out to this day just thinking about it. And when the police went up there to get the woman out, they said that they could tell by the looks of it that she had been up there for a while. Imagine recording it and then, you know, up in the morning with your little Folgers and your little coffee cup with your little girlfriend, and you're looking at your little footage and you're like, oh, it's fine, I don't see nothing. And then all of a sudden the fucking woman's legs just come out of the top of your ceiling and come to me, and waking up every few hours every night. Imagine walking into your kitchen and seeing a woman just sitting there pissing in your sink. We'd be pissing together because I'd be pissing on myself. Okay, I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna get started on this book. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in this book, because I am 25% in. Low-key kind of bored, but I'm gonna try along. Anyway, so we have 2 different perspectives. The first chapter, we follow Juno. She is an elderly lady who is a retired therapist and has recently been diagnosed with a grim diagnosis. And she only has a little bit of time left to live, and so she kind of wants to live out her life stress-free, comfy. So she picks this family and she moves in with them. They were what she thought like the most perfect family. Anyway, so she moves in with them and she soon discovers that they are far from perfect. It's them and their son, and she likes to spy on them. She overhears a conversation between the husband and the wife about a crime that they committed 15 some odd years ago. Then we have the other person. Her name is Winnie, and she's married to Nigel, and they have a teenage son. They live in this house in this perfect sought out neighborhood. She like throws parties and benefits and stuff for this charity situation. Like, they look like the perfect little family, and they are far from it. Like, they are tiptoeing the line of divorce, babe. Also, Winnie's brother moves in with them temporarily, and he's moved in with them prior, and something happened between him and the son. I'm not sure what happened, but there's a lot of tension going on in the household because Winnie is a chronic people pleaser, and she could not say no to letting her brother move in after his wife kicked him out for the 15th time. There's just secrets, I fear. One thing was already just revealed at the 25% mark. I feel like it was revealed too soon, but I don't know. There better be some other good stuff for the rest of the book. I guess we'll see. The one thing about reading thrillers and vlogging it is you can't really talk about too much of the thrillers because you don't want to give anything away. So I am here with my final thoughts on The Wrong Family by Tarryn Fisher. So you have Juno, the older lady. We do get some of her past and like also her living out her final days and being nosy and blah 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 blah. Then we have our main character Winnie, who is the mother of this family. We get to see her struggles with motherhood, her dark past, her struggles with her marriage. We also get to see her husband and his shitty shit, and then we also get to see the son, and he also like hyper focuses on homelessness, but that never really fleshes out to be anything truly. So I felt like that was a lot of wasted space in the book. And then we also got to see challenges with her twin brother, you know, but I felt like his story wasn't fleshed out enough either, especially at the beginning of the book. We learned, like when he moved in with them, we learned that he had beef with the husband Nigel, but we never really got to see what that beef was, or like I don't know. I felt like we needed more of that, less of some of the other stuff. I don't know, but I'm giving this book 3 stars. But I will tell you this, the ending in this book was so good. The epilogue, topping on the cake. You know, it was very fast paced, very like, whoa, what's going on? I liked the ending and the wrap up of this more than I did in The Wives, but The Wives was written better. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. This was a little bit darker. They were both kind of dark. Whatever. Am I going to keep it? I'm going to keep it for now, but I'm going to do like a final walkthrough of my bookshelves and unhaul things before I pack them up in a couple of weeks because we are moving, and I'll reevaluate my decision on if I'm keeping this or not. For my next book, I went over to my Discord and I asked them to pick which one of these books I should read. I gave them about an hour or so to vote. The votes have came in, and the 2 books that did not win are Stolen Things by R.H. Herron. I gave them this book because this is a book that I don't ever see anywhere. I've never seen someone talk about this book, haul this book, rant about this book, nothing. I've never seen this book any other place besides my bookshelves. What I know about this is our main protagonist is a 911 dispatcher. One day she gets a 911 call and it's her daughter saying, "Mom, help me." That's what I know about this, and I think it also has to do with like dirty cops and stuff like that. So it sounds like something I would be really interested in, but unfortunately this one got 0 votes, so we're not reading this one right now. I might squeeze it in later if I have time. But the second book that I posted that also did not win, it did get a few votes, but it didn't win, and that is What You Wish For by Catherine Center. Now this author I enjoy. I have read a handful of her other books. This one is just, I guess, one of her lesser known books. I'm not really sure what this one is about. Her newer stuff leans more, I think, towards like rom-com-ish, but this is an older title. Kind of see Kaiser's back there dreaming puppy dreams. So this one didn't win though, so we'll put that aside. But the one that did win is this one, 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard. So Sierra and Oliver meet in a supermarket queue in Dublin and start dating the same week COVID-19 reaches Irish shores. 35 days ago, when lockdown threatens to keep them apart, Oliver suggests they move in together. Today, detectives arrive at Oliver's apartment to discover a decomposing body inside. Dun, dun, dun. I will say my husband has read this, and this is one of his like least favorite books, but the tribe has spoken and we're gonna read it right now. I'm about 20% in, I would say. I did pick up the audiobook of this one because it was readily available through Libby, and I was like, give it to me. We get 3 different perspectives. We also get a then and now timeline. So the then perspectives are of Oliver and Sierra, and then the now perspective is of a detective. It starts out, it says, like, the chapter opens up and it says 56 days ago. And that is when Oliver and Sierra meet in a queue line at a grocery store in Dublin. The first chapter, we get it in Sierra's perspective, and we get to see like her meet him, them deciding to go out to have drinks later, the whole interaction with him there, her thoughts about him, this, that, and the other. It cuts after that, it goes to another chapter, and we're in the detective's perspective, the current day, and that is when the body is found. We don't know, is the body male, is the body female? We don't know. We just know the body has been found. It is severely decomposed, as in the skin has slipped off most of the bones. So we have her, and she's getting ready to like do her job, detect the scene. Then we have Oliver's perspective after that, and it goes back to when they meet in the queue line at the grocery store. So it's repeating what we already read, except we're in the perspective of Oliver. And let me just tell you something, the whole time I am reading this man's perspective, this is what's going on in my brain. Anyway, he's sus, but then like you look back on Sierra and she could possibly be sus. I don't know. Is the author trying to trick us up and make us think that it's Oliver? No, because Oliver has given us some little hints of things that happened in his past that make him seem very sus. So is this another one of those thrillers where we do get the perspective of the bad guy? I like those. I like those. I like the thrillers when you go in and you already know who's the chump, who did it, who's got the bloody knife in their claw. You know what I mean? Like, we already know who it is. We're just here for the ride. Okay. But I have read another Catherine Ryan Howard book called The Nothing Man, and we also get the perspective of the killer in that one as well. And we know right off the bat we're in the perspective of the killer, so it could just be a Catherine Ryan Howard thing. Okay, I got meatloaf in the oven. It's gonna be a good, I'm gonna finish this book tonight, I fear. It's gonna be a good night. It's gonna be a good night, bitch. It's gonna be a good night. Did you hear that? That was my soul coming out and about to come alive. And there she is. Good morning, soul. And good morning, vlog. I'm currently in the middle of book 9, and I think I'm gonna wrap it up with book 10 either today or tomorrow, depending on how long it takes me to get through that book. But I want to know in the comments below if you prefer this style of read it or unhaul it, where I pick the books and we just get through them. You know, we try to pick off TBR veterans, I guess you would say. Or if you prefer it with Bookshelf Ultimatum, where I pick 3 books from the jar. Let me know down below. I'm really liking this. I'm feeling really accomplished with what I'm getting through. Plus also, it helps if I'm in the mood for thrillers. I can just continue to pick up thrillers. If I want a romance, I can just go over and grab a romance. Anyway, I'm gonna dive in and finish off our 9th book this morning. I'm about, I don't know, halfway through, I guess you would say. Girl, I don't even know what my last update was yesterday. What did I say? Where was I at? Who was doing what? I'm so frustrated. Let me tell you, let me give you a little backstory, okay? So I am trying to prep for my Stephen King reading vlogs / journey that I want to do. I want to go back. I've read like 31 32 Stephen King books. I've read them all like randomly. My first one was Misery, and then I think like my second one was probably 11, 22, 60. No, it wasn't. I read It, and then I read 11. Anyway, I digress. I like jumped all across the board, and I want to rewind, go back, and start over and read his books in publication order so that I can catch the fun Easter eggs or characters that are from other books that appear in other books. You know what I mean? Like catch all the things is what I want to do. I need to start over with Carrie. I've read Carrie before. I do have a copy of Carrie. That's fine. I'm going to reread it, and then I'm going to jump into Salem's Lot. I don't have a copy of Salem's Lot. I did, but I unhauled it because I'm looking for a particular edition. I can wait on that though because I can just get a copy from my library in the meantime. Then the next book after that is Rage. It is so hard to find the Bachman books. That includes Rage at a decent price. It's no longer being printed, and it's also not available in your library or like ebook form, whatever, unless you download it illegally. So I have been on the hunt for a decent priced Bachman books as well, and I found a seller on eBay, and they're called Second Sale, and they're an actual business. Okay, they have an Instagram profile, TikTok, everything. It's an actual business that sells on eBay. I bought most of my Karen Slaughter books from them. Like, they were legit. So I found some acceptable books of the Bachman books in their storefront for a pretty good price, and I ordered 2 of them because I was like, well, if one of them is completely falling apart, maybe the other one will be readable at least. You want to see what they sent me? Let me show you. Do these look like Stephen King Rage books? You know, I was on the hunt for Rage. Bitch, I'm feeling the rage. I'm feeling the rage. They sent me 2 never heard of before romance books. And the thing is if I ordered quantity 2 of the same listing, wouldn't they have even the same numbers? Because they would probably pull the 2 books from as someone who's worked in retail, wouldn't they have like the same numbers? I feel like this was a setup. Anyway, I also ordered a copy of Little Women. I ordered 2 more books. So I ordered 4 books total in that order. 2 of the books that I came in were correct, and then the other 2 were wrong. So I know it wasn't that I got somebody else's order. You know what I mean? So I ordered this edition. Well, I didn't order this edition of Little Women. I just ordered Little Women, and I guess they just randomly pick what edition they give you. I am not mad about it though, because this is stunning. The book itself, stunning. It kind of reminds me of Dolly Parton. Anyway, I'm currently reading Little Women as well in the background of this video, and I wanted to like find a better copy, like a floppy paperback copy. Have yet to find one. And this was the 4th book that was in that order. And this is the right book. This is by Stephen King, Dan Simmons, and George R.R. Martin, which I hadn't heard of this until I was browsing their store. It is used up, but I did find an actual like hardback copy of this, $200. So we're okay. We're okay with this for now until I win the lottery. I am also here to talk to you about the book that I'm reading. I'm about 60% into this book. I've only read maybe a chapter or 2 since I last spoke to you. So far, we've had a mention of The Nothing Man, the serial killer, which is Catherine Ryan's other book called The Nothing Man. I just love like little treats like that when you're reading the author's work and you see other characters from their other books appear in the work, the exact thing that Stephen King does. I love that. Anyway, they talked about The Nothing Man in here, and I thought that was a little treat. But as of right now, it's a lot of COVID talk, a lot of lockdown, more so than the actual virus itself, a lot of lockdown talk, and it just is bringing me back to those days. Like, they're watching the news and they're seeing random warehouses being turned into morgues. They're seeing 18-wheelers being turned into a morgue of sorts, I guess you would say. The doctors having to choose which patients that they want to save, and it's more so the younger ones than it is the older ones. And I remember that was probably the most scariest part of the entire thing, was watching the news and hearing them talk about that, especially before it fully impacted the US. We were hearing news of like what was going on in other countries, bawling my eyes out. I had a newborn baby and a 1-year-old and a husband that has to go to work. Rain, shine, COVID-19, hurricanes, whatever, he has to go to work. And it's definitely bringing me back to those times. And I really hope that we don't have to go through that again, at least in the next 100 years. I did get an email yesterday from my kids' school. There are measles cases going around. So that's terrifying. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Well, that's what we're going over. So far it's enjoying enough. It's entertaining enough. I'm curious. I want to keep going. I want to know what's going on. I feel like I kind of am starting to get a hint of someone's intentions of, I don't know. I'm trying like not to spoil, not to like give too much away. It's hard. Anyway. Girl, I don't know. It is all making sense now. Also, the perspectives of the detective in here, I feel like are kind of pointless because the questions and the like crime scene that they're looking at and going over, we're getting all the answers in the other chapters of the people as like of our main characters as the story progresses. So I feel like in this particular case, the perspectives of the detectives are low-key kind of unnecessary. They would be like, oh, so I think he turned off the water or he hit his head going down and that's what like hit the handle to turn the water off. And then the next chapter we kind of, or maybe like a couple of chapters later, we get the truth as to what truly happened, you know? And so I feel like they're not even really answering, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. This ending could really, like it could really go down or it could really go down as in sink. I fear I spoke too soon. I guess, that the ending was gonna go down. Like a sinking ship. My thoughts, my opinion, my rating. The story in itself is an interesting one to read. I would say there's a lot of like information, not information, but I feel like there's a lot of the story that is just there as filler is what it felt like the detective perspective. I felt like we could have just did without because it didn't benefit the story. And I say that as someone who thoroughly enjoys detective type books. Okay, I prefer those over non-detective type books. So that being said, I'm a little sleuth and that's how I get my sleuthing in is other people's drama in fictional books, okay? My overall thoughts is underwhelming, essentially. The ending was just not it. I was like, all of this build up and this potential to be a damn good ending. Like, we finally got to the part of how the person got murdered and it was just that. I did give this 3 stars. Am I gonna keep it is the big question. I read The Nothing Man. I think I've said that 500 times in this video. I read The Nothing Man by this author and I really enjoyed it and I have it on my shelf. And she is an author that I want to continue picking up her work and reading because I feel like she does have the sauce that I like. This one just wasn't like a favorite. That being said, I think as of right now, I'm going to keep it on my shelf. Did I mention that I'm also going to do another unhaul before I pack up my book room and I'll reevaluate that because I'm going to go through all of my read books and decide what I truly want to keep and what I don't want to keep. I'm going to keep it for now and I'll reevaluate. But the rules were if I give it 3 or above, I don't have to DNF it. So, I mean, I don't have to unhaul it. So, there it is. Now, while I was picking up my donut from the kitchen in my camera so I can update you on that book, I swung by my bookshelves and I picked up the final book for this reading vlog, and I think I'm gonna give this one a go. So this is called Stolen Things, and I don't know too much about this. I've never heard of this author before. I've never heard of this book before, and all that I remembered is our main protagonist is a 911 police dispatcher and she gets a phone call and it's her daughter asking for help, and I think the husband is a police chief, maybe police corruption. I don't want to read the synopsis though. Why am I like this? I truly don't know. At this point in my reading career, I feel like I know pretty early on, for the most part, if a book is going to be for me or not. And this one is not for me. I've been reading here for like 2 hours, okay? I am, and don't ask me how many donuts I've had. 113 pages into this book, and I truly do not give a fuck about any of these characters. Like, they're annoying. All of them. They're annoying the shit out of me. Let me sit up and tell you what's going on. Actually, let's go to the book group, because we gotta wrap up this vlog anyway. Stolen Things. by R.A. Tarryn. You see where I'm at? Yeah. What I wanted from this book was it to be similar to the movie Taken. We have a mom who is a 911 dispatcher. The dad is the chief of police. The mom gets a phone call from her daughter, 15-year-old daughter JoJo. Help me, mom. I don't know where I'm at and I can't move my body. And she's drugged up and the mom can tell over the phone. Well, first off, it takes forever for them to get to the point. So hang on, let me ping your phone. Okay, you're in this neighborhood. Tell me when you hear sirens immediately. I hear the sirens, they're outside, they're coming in the house. Like that in what world? Okay, so they get the daughter. The daughter is found in like the first couple pages. The daughter can remember things, but she's not telling her parents the full story. So she's like, I don't remember. Well, then they finally figure out that she went to this party where this 20-some-odd-year-old professional football player had at his house. In what world? You know what I mean? They also found a dead body at the house when they went to go get the daughter. They take her to the hospital. And I want to say them doing the kit that they do after you are sexually assaulted took about 50 pages for us to get through all of that, all the examinations and stuff. And I was like, where are we going with this, truly? So then they finally go home and she admits that her best friend Hannah was there with her at this party. Hannah is already bad news. Hannah and her, JoJo, aren't supposed to even be friends anymore because they stole diamond rings from a jewelry store together because Hannah's parents don't care about Hannah or her whereabouts or what she does. They're those kind of parents. Well, let's figure out where Hannah is. So they call Hannah's parents and they're like, hey, is Hannah at home? And they're like, yeah, she's at home. She's asleep. She's been asleep all day. She is very sick. She's like, you need to go check on your daughter because my daughter says she was with your daughter and they were at this party. You need to go check on your daughter. She is sick. I've seen her in her room. Go check on your daughter. They finally go check on the daughter. She's not there. Anyway, long story short, so Hannah is still missing. Meanwhile, the daddy of JoJo had a heart attack. You know, all this stress made him have a heart attack. He's in the hospital. So then the next 50 pages are spent at the hospital talking to the daddy, or the mom is at the police station trying to get to the cell where the football player is being held so she can ask the football player questions about what happened to her daughter. Nothing is really happening. It's just everybody talking to everybody. I don't know. None of the characters are likable. Everything is so drug out, so full of filler sentence. Like, it just, 112 pages in and literally nothing is going on. Nobody's giving a fuck that Hannah is missing. She's 15 years old. There was blood found in the football player's mansion that they can't link to anyone. It's probably Hannah. You ever thought about that? You ever thought it could be about Hannah? Then they don't even want to tell the chief of police what's going on because he's in the hospital, heart attack. So, and right now they're at the hospital chit-chat, and the daughter, JoJo, brought her dad a People magazine to look at and some snacks, and they're laughing and making fun of some bubble gum because it is like cantaloupe flavor or some stupid shit like that. I don't like it, okay? I'm not a fan, and I can tell you right now, this ain't it. This ain't it. I don't like it. I don't like it. So, DNFing, unhauling, not giving a single shit. That being said, let's wrap up. Can you tell I don't like it? Let's wrap up this vlog. Okay, so we have gone through 10 books in this video. The first book that I picked up was All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson. I wound up DNFing this book because I was just a little uncomfortable with the fact that our main protagonist, when she was a teenager, she had an affair with her stepfather, and then as an adult, she's having an affair with her stepson, and it just gave me the ick. Even though the stepson is an adult now because he's in college, it's still the ick. You know what I mean? However, I'm gonna leave it up to you in the comments if you think I should continue on anyway, because after I put this down, I picked up another Peter Swanson book and I realized that Swanson likes to write in the perspective of very bad people. So it kind of changes the game, you know what I mean? If I am okay with reading in the perspective of murderers, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's still kind of giving me the ick, the fact that she's a teenage girl sleeping and having an affair with her stepdad. I then read, onto this one, I then read Before She Knew Him by Peter Swanson. I absolutely love this. I gave it 5 stars and I am keeping this book. And then I read Her Every Fear by Peter Swanson as well. Love this one. 4.5 stars. On Goodreads, I did give it a 5 because, you know, they don't do half stars over there. So I love this and I am going to keep it. And then that's what I'm saying, like after I read and loved these, and both of these have very unlikable characters as protagonists, like unlikable, disgusting, disturbing characters. So it kind of makes sense that the first book also has that. So let me know, should I finish it? Let me know. Then I tried picking up The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, and I decided very early on that I don't think I'm gonna enjoy this book. I DNF'd it, and I am gonna be getting rid of this book. I also am going to be unhauling the other 2 Lucy books that I have on my shelf. Then, for a little turn of genres, I don't know. I picked up The Trail of Lost Hearts, and our main character in this one was annoying me so much. She literally just met this man and was already having jealous tendencies when they're not even friends yet. You know what I mean? So I DNF'd it and I'm unhauling it. Okay, my battery's about to die, please hold. Okay, the next book that I picked up was The Two Lives of Lydia Bird. I got, I don't know, maybe 35-40% into this one, and I put it down. I soft DNF'd it. I wasn't feeling it. It was very sad and such, but I just didn't care about her dream world and her, I don't know. You know what I mean? I didn't really care. I didn't really care. That's truthfully how it is. So I am here to tell you that I've thought about it and I'm gonna DNF it, and I guess I'm gonna unhaul it. It's so sad because I really loved One Day in December, and I don't know what it is with me. When I really love a book by an author, I don't want to unhaul their other works, but I just don't think this one's gonna be for me. And look at my cute little bookmark. It says, "You paused here," and it's a little Kaisi. It's so cute. Then I picked up The Wives by Tarryn Fisher, and I actually really enjoyed this one. It's not the perfect book by any means, but this is one of the books that when you get in it, it's just entertaining enough and you just want to know what's going on that you're gonna finish the book. And I enjoyed it enough to where I gave it a 4 stars. I did enjoy this book. I'm gonna put it on my shelves. I'm gonna keep it, and I'll again reassess it when I get to my other unhaul video that I'm gonna do before I... How many times am I gonna talk about that? Then I picked up The Wrong Family by Tarryn Fisher. I did enjoy this one enough to finish it. It has a little bit too much going on for me. However, I really enjoyed how it wrapped up, and I do think it's a book that I may want to revisit again in 5 years when my memory resets, because I feel like after it's been like so long of reading a book, even if it was a favorite book at that time, I don't remember anything. And I can probably in 5 years go back into this book and not remember reading it. I think I'm gonna keep it for now, and we'll whatever. I don't have to unhaul it because I gave it 3 stars. So if I gave it lower than 3, or if I DNF'd it, I have to unhaul it. That's the rules. I'm making an exception for that Peter Swanson book though. Then the last book number 10, was Stolen Things. No, I'm DNFing that and getting it out of my house. I don't care. Probably why I haven't seen it anywhere, because it probably didn't take off for a reason. Anyway, wow, let's hold them up. 10 books are no longer on my TBR. Impressive, Beth. I am very impressed. And that's a wrap. I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe if you want to see another one of these, because I low-key kind of want to film another one of these. I had fun doing this, and it feels good to get the books, the TBR veterans, the books that have been on your shelf for so long, to finally get them read. And I found 2 new favorite books, 2 favorite thrillers that you'll see me recommend to you time and time again in favorite thrillers videos or whatever. Let me know in the comments below if you want another one of these where I read 10 books and the ultimate read it or unhaul it video, I guess. I don't know, girl. I don't know. But what I do know is it is time for me to go. I hope you guys have a very happy day, and bye.